All right, so welcome to Coaching Eddie. About, I don't know, a year ago, we said that we were going to coach Eddie, who has been working here for I don't know how long, since the beginning for the most part. And he handles all the video and all the technology and all the different things that we do here. But he doesn't really know how to play poker. I mean, he kind of knows how to play poker. He's like, he understands certain concepts, but I don't think he has the ability to like sit down at a 1-2 or 2-5 and actually have some sort of edge. I mean, he's still iffy about the rules. So this is a coaching series. We're gonna do a bunch of coaching series, but this one's about somebody who doesn't know anything. It's like starting from scratch, essentially, right? Like, what's your experience?
Like when your friend, your sister, brother, whoever wants to learn how to play poker and they just don't know how to do anything. This is a perfect example. So we're gonna go from square one.
All right, so, and listen, like coaching, we coach poker very differently here at School of Cards. I mean, I think coaching is one of the more interesting dynamics with poker because you're not only teaching the game, but you're teaching the game and how to make that game interesting for a specific person. You're trying to make sure that you're accomplishing their goals and not your goals. Like Eddie just might want to be comfortable at the table. He might not want to, crush 100 NL or it really is about the person, and it's about teaching the person a style that works for them. So if Eddie doesn't want to get super advanced, super sophisticated, we're not going to be going into these, crazy in-depth concepts or trying to get him to work to a level that he's not going to be able to sustain. So it's really important to understand like where exactly people are. And the first thing I just want to say about coaching somebody from the beginning is it's good to start off with like removing the filters or like the bullshit that people have or the concepts they have for poker. So everybody has like their own filters when they approach something. Like, listen, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to learn this. I don't know. The players seem so much better. And the first thing I like to do is kind of address those and get those out of the way so people don't have any sort of irrational fears when they get into something. That's what we're going to do right now. Is just kind of understand Eddie's basic understanding of poker, what he perceives to be good play, bad play, so on and so forth. And if he has any sort of, like hang-ups about the game.
Well, I don't know much about the game. The only thing I've been working here with Blake, I've learned through osmosis, just by watching the videos. We used to have live classes here. I've started dealing, which has helped a lot. I've become more familiar with the different positions, the way people bet. There's so many different types of gameplay. So I think that one of the things that the first goal that I have is just to really understand how to play the game so that I feel comfortable. When I deal,
all right, stop there.
Simple.
So first thing is like comfort.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by comfortable?
I'd like to be I would love to understand all the different positions and what you should do from those different positions. I would love to understand the different betting strategies that people use depending on the position where they're at. That would be cool. And then after that, I think it would be understanding, like when you get a hand, in my mind, I would love to be able to understand like the hand that I get. How strong is it? What can I do with it? If it's like 2-7 or ace-2 or suited aces or king connect, like suited connectors, things like that. I would love to know like what to do with a specific hand that you get, because there's so many hands.
All right.
So basically, it's just understanding position, betting, and I guess timing, so that I feel comfortable playing.
Okay. So this is where coaching gets interesting, right? So Eddie wants to be comfortable, and he has a subset of things that he thinks he needs to understand in order to be comfortable. Right? And it's kind of his perception. This is so interesting because this is what happens to poker players. So Eddie's learned about a couple of terms here. He says, I need to learn more about position because that seems to be something that people are talking about. I need to learn more about, what to do with certain cards. So that seems, and then he goes off in tangents and kind of learns the game the wrong way. I think starting off learning the game in a relative to what he just said, like, okay, you shouldn't play ace king from this spot, but you should play ace king. I think that's a wrong way to understand poker. And I think I could teach him like very basic things to get him up to speed, but basically what it does is it caps his potential. And a lot of poker players out there, some of you who are watching this, you're capped because the way you learned how to play wasn't as creative or wasn't as dynamic as the game actually accounts for. And because of that, you can't reach the next level because you think about poker in this linear sort of fashion. So for me right now, I'm thinking like, okay, I kind of want to teach him this straightforward, listen, if it's not a good hand, fold it from early position. If it's a good hand, fold it from late position. That being said, I just don't coach like that anymore. Even if with a complete beginner, I just don't feel that it's good over the long run. Like I don't believe in range charts for beginners. I think ultimately they cap potential later down. So it does take a longer time to get someone there. It'll take him longer to get from here to here, but his here will be so much better than other people's here because they're so used to standard. So
That'd be nice.
You see what I mean? But there's like you really don't know the game enough, so you don't know what you need to know to be comfortable. Like that's the cool thing. And the problem is he says comfort, and comfort is such an issue because he's like, if you listen to his language, he was only focusing on comfort pre-flop, right? He was focusing on, okay, what do I do in this specific spot with this hand? He wasn't thinking about like in really tricky post-flop decisions or what to do when all of a sudden a crazy player goes all into the river or what to do when you know what I mean? So it's like your definition of, we have to like, whenever you're playing and you make goals, you got to operationally define the goal. Like defining the goal of comfort is gonna be a little tricky. So I think I'll help him in this direction in the sense that like, I believe that if Eddie can sit down, I know this is kind of vague goal, but sit down at like a 2-5 game in Vegas when we'll all be there in June. And I'm not saying like absolutely crush and soul read and make incredible reads, but to be able to be like, I can sit there and like, there's a good chance that Eddie is, one of the best players out of most of these players at like a 2-5 game. You know what I mean? Or maybe not even the best, but like best in certain restraints. Like some people are really good at poker, but they don't know themselves. So they're like really good, but then they lose focus and they lose all their money. Like,
right.
Like
I experienced that the other day, actually.
Right.
I lost focus. Like the first hour, it was going great. And I was really conscious of position, the bet sizes, and
then it went to shit and he started eating cookies.
No, it wasn't the cookies. It was just like after an hour, just something happened. Did
you get bored? Because that's fine.
I don't know if it was bored, but it was just like I couldn't hold that mental focus for that long.
You're not supposed to. Just so you know, human beings aren't designed to keep focus we're not designed for that. For like 10, 15 hours. Like it's just...
Yeah, but that was an hour.
I know, but like, it's kind of like this. Like if you had me do a task right now that I'm not used to and you had me jump into it for an hour, it's fucking overwhelming. It's just like boom, 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 right? And that's what happens. So what we're gonna do is obviously, we have a couple of advantages here if we're coaching you. First, we have a lot of products. So we have a lot of courses that you help make. But not from like a scripting and concept size, but from like a filming and editing size. So he's gonna go through that. He's gonna be playing here about once a week. Every Thursday he's gonna play and we're gonna give updates. And I'm making this a very casual thing. Like one of the problems is that like, when you deal with players that are starting off, it's way different than if you're coaching someone who's like been playing poker for 10 years and is struggling at 2-5 and wants to get better. Because for those players, I just dive right in, I diagnose what their issues are, and I work on those issues and I get them back out there. Like it's an easier way of dealing. When you deal with players that are complete beginners, you're really focused on making sure you're building good habits from the ground up and not teaching them these things that like will lead to problems later on. You're really focusing on making sure they truly understand the concept. And the most important thing with beginner players is establishing what I call a layered thought process, meaning when you play poker, the amount of things that you could think about are like this, right? We don't want to even expose him to this yet. We want him to expose him to layer by layer by layer by layer, but layer integration. So for example, Eddie's gonna, we'll do this in the next video, I'll talk about position, right? Like position is one of the most overtly used terms in poker. Everybody knows, like even basic players, like you have to play in certain positions. You can't do this in position. The average player has really no idea how valuable position is. And the reason they don't understand how valuable it is because they don't see how position connects to other concepts in the game. So what we're trying to do is not just teach them concepts, we're trying to teach you how concepts connect to bigger themes in poker and then how to actually apply that at the table. So it's like, yeah, you know what position is, but you don't know that you can call with this hand because of X, Y, Z, and ABC.
Right.
And basically how this is gonna work is Eddie's starting off with a thought process now, which I'm gonna kind of ask him a couple of questions about, and then we're gonna start to see that process build. So maybe in 10 10 weeks from now or 10, 15 videos from now, when I ask Eddie, why'd you do that? He's like, well, Blake, and has a really strong justification for why he's doing something, versus now he probably can't tell you. So this is what I call, I mean, it's not what I call. In psychology, it's known as projective assessments. It's like personality assessments. So a projective assessment is like when somebody projects a part of their personality or their knowledge or whatever onto something that's neutral. So for example, like I can be like, Eddie, what do you think about this cup?
So you're saying like a gut instinct?
Not a gut instinct. It's just, it's kind of, it shows me where you're at by throwing out some random things. So for example, watch, I'll show you right now. So I'll ask Eddie, so Eddie, if you're dealt ace king, what's going on? What's going on in your head? What do you do?
Ace king is pretty strong. It would depends on, is it pre-flop? Is it flop?
In pre-flop, you definitely.
Oh, it's a strong hand. But is it suited?
It's suited.
Oh, that's nice. I think it's nice.
Okay, so that was the projective assessment. So, right, so you ask a question like, what do you think about ace king? And he's like, is it suited? So his first thing is it suited? Which doesn't make that much of a difference, but okay. He doesn't ask me any more questions, right? So as he starts to get better at poker, he's just like, well, Blake, like that's kind of a stupid question. Like ace king is only as strong as it is relative to the dynamics of the table. Like how many players am I sitting down with? What's my stack size? What's my over? Like all those things you just missed right there, right?
Right.
So you project, right, exactly. So that's, he wasn't aware of them. So he projects his knowledge or understanding of the game onto a simple question. It's kind of how I know where people are at. When all you guys send me emails, I just read the first paragraph. I already know what's going on because you're projecting yourself on. Some of you are like, what do I do when I do this? Like you don't even spell check. So I'm like, all right, this guy is not that serious about the game because the people that are serious tend to send me well-crafted emails that are thought out. And it's kind of like you're projecting a piece of yourself onto that. So right now, Eddie is like a complete beginner, doesn't see all those dynamics. So we're gonna have to build those dynamics. Now, obviously, we're gonna start with pre-flop, but the whole point is connection. And that's what a lot of beginning players miss. And honestly, I don't like to talk bad about like, listen, books are how I learned how to play poker, right? But they're a tricky medium because books follow a linear order and they don't talk back to you and they don't interact with you.
Right.
And there tends to be this, you learn a concept and can't apply it. So first we're gonna get your foundation down, then we're gonna have you go through courses, then I might make you read some stuff so you can kind of criticize it. But for now, you wanna be able to just expand. So what we're dealing with is like, we're ground zero, guys. I asked him, what do you do with ace king? And he said it's suited, and that's just fine. It's like most reaction is, oh, it's suited or not suited, but we're gonna be building his language. And as this course goes on, you know, some of the things that you're going through and some of the things that you're having issues with, you're gonna see them in Eddie. And I'm gonna be coaching more experienced players also and really exceptional players and different things. But it's cool to see growth from the very bottom to something that's impressive. And that's what we're doing here. I should make some sort of like public bounty that like if you knock Eddie out at a casino, if you knock Eddie out at a casino, we'll give you a product for free, $1,000 product.
On the table, not
if you're
walking in the parking lot.
Eddie gets robbed. That'd be great. That'd be fucking hilarious.
So I think that what I want is just to, like I said, the foundation. What do I do next? So I realized this is all the stuff I don't know. I know this. So what do I do next?
And I was gonna start off with like asking Eddie like about his goals and ambitions. And when someone just starts off playing poker, like they have no concept of those kind of things. Yeah. And it's sometimes good just to get you to understand the game. And you might be like, Blake, I absolutely love this. This is actually want to take this more seriously. You know what I mean? So it's good to kind of feel it out in the beginning.
I just realized one thing also. I don't even understand the budgetary issue or the bankroll situation.
The company will roll you, so
no.
The company funds.
No, definitely.
We should just put Eddie in like 50, 100, 100, 200. You imagine we do this series and we sit him down at like 100, 200 and he runs like God and makes tons of money and that'd be great.
Yeah,
that's all stuff we'll get into as it comes up. I'm gonna do a series a little bit differently. You'll see in later series, you'll see people who are just basically like, listen, Blake, this is my problem and it's easier to diagnose, but it's just different when they start from scratch. So look forward to it. We'll be updating it like once a week with updates, and then I'll do some exercise with him. I'll teach him concepts on our whiteboard over there. We'll go and we'll release the journey. And I'm not making this fully structured. We're just, we've known each other forever. We're just kind of taking it by ear and making it more organic than like a fully structured plan. I think it's better that way.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So remember, if you see this face at your local game,
Oh boy.
Be afraid.
Get ready to
be very afraid.
Or take his money.
No, you got to be ready to defend defend the School of Cards reputation.
Like once I understand what I'm doing.
But that's the whole thing. That starts off mentality wise, right? Like you're already, before we even start, we're failing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's like, no, it's like, yeah, like guys, if you see me in 6 months, you're fucked. Like you are. You're gonna get. You don't know what you're dealing with. Then had that be on Tell's language. Oh, we're gonna get you crazy.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
This will be fun. All right. Questions, comments, post below. Introducing Eddie. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe. We are releasing between 2 to 3 videos every single week. Also, make sure you head over to schoolofcards.com/value. The link's below in the description. It's basically our value email list where I do random webinars for free once or twice a month. I also answer questions, submit hands, and we release videos that we don't always release on YouTube. So make sure you check out schoolofcards.com/value, enter your name and email, and I'll keep you up to date.